I hate people. I like dogs, but I don't like people. Fuck them. So this is actually the same year. So in May is when he made that Molotov cocktail, May of '76. Well, in June of '76, he buys a .44 caliber Charter Arms Bulldog handgun. This is the one that's the murder weapon. While he was visiting an old Army buddy, which is Billy Dan Parker in Houston. You know, how stereotypical is that he goes and gets the murder weapon in Texas? You know what I mean?
Wow.
No, I don't have anything against Texas. I lived in Texas, but I just think it's funny because it's deeply into things like that. So I just thought it was amusing. This is, let's see, a month later after he gets that gun, at 1 a.m. he fired 5 shots into a parked car, and that's when he killed Donna Loria, who was 18, with a shot to the neck. And then Jody Valenti was 19, was shot in the hip and survived. So those are his first, I guess, murders, July 29th, or murder, July 29th, 1976. So what do we hear? We're about 4 days away from his first murder, and that would be, 41 years? So we're almost 41 years away from his first murder. That's crazy.
Yeah, it would have been kind of, I guess, cool and sort of, grim and morbid to have the show on the anniversary of his first murder. That would have been kind of weird. Or on the anniversary of the day he was caught, which was August 10th of 77. But I don't book these things. I don't make them. That's up to y'all.
We always come close. We always come close as possible to things like this. But we never, since we do it on a Tuesday, it's always, all about fate on that one. But a couple months later, this is where he writes, because apparently he was a good writer, they say. He wrote a poem entitled Mother of Satan. So I guess, because see, here's the thing, okay? He says that he was in a satanic cult and all this stuff. So this isn't like documented stuff, but would you guys assume at this point in time he's in a satanic cult right now, if this is true? September 22nd? Yeah.
He was interested in it, right? I mean, but who knows? I mean, do they have a meet-up or something? I don't know.
Well, he lived next to that park. Johnny, the park I'm talking about, I can't remember who owned it, but the guy that owned the park used to, as Berkowitz said, bump elbows with Aleister Crowley, who was like one of the most evil men recorded in history. So, he surrounded himself with all manner of evil and vile things. He started reading the Satanic Bible, which was, written by the late Anton LaVey, and started, studying the Church of Satan type things. And I think what it was he was like a young, impressionable mind, and he was sort of almost like the exception. Or, when people used to say, well, if you let a kid play violent video games like Grand Theft Auto, they're going to grow up and have a bad, opinion of women and think they can do all that stuff. He was probably one of the people that probably would have actually really done that. And I think that's probably part of the reason that he went on to commit as many murders as he did, was because he believed that, ritual murder, as far as the cults and the satanic cults were concerned, he thought that would be a way for him to, I guess, kind of become an initiate into said cult. And even though this was all a complete delusion, in his mind it was completely real,
You guys make a good point. I mean, again, it's just one of those things where it's like, I think people want to blame the Satanist thing, and maybe he was involved in it, but I don't blame that. I mean, not all Satanists become murderers, obviously. So, I mean, hell, we talked to one who's down to earth Satanist. That's not their MO. Most Satanists are like, live your life, be happy type of thing. I know that sounds weird from, but it's true, I don't know how to put it any other way.
Well, true, but he also, remember, he was raised Jewish, and in the Jewish, religion and Jewish belief, as far as Lucifer goes, he was a fallen angel, and if you can be bad enough to get kicked out of heaven, you must really be a piece of work. And I think maybe murder went along with that. Plus, like I said, the way it was sensationalized in movies like Rosemary's Baby, whenever you watch a horror movie dealing with a satanic cult, what are they usually doing? Fucking murdering people, or, sacrificing dogs, or fucking birds, or drinking blood, or doing some kind of fucked up shit, like, all the time. I mean, you can almost set your watch by it. And even at that time, there were some movies, up to that point, like Rosemary's Baby. and some of the others that sort of showed Satanism in that kind of a light, that it was what it was. And The Exorcist, we don't know. He might have seen The Exorcist, and that might have really thrown him over the edge. The Exorcist came out, 4 years before it was caught, 73, and it's still one of the scariest movies of all time, and it definitely explores the murder and, your mother, does blank in hell and all this other kind of stuff, and possession and, being like almost raped by like a demonic presence and all that sort of thing. So we don't know. He might have saw that, and that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. We just don't know.
Like you said, fragile mind. All right, so go ahead, Johnny.
No, I mean, he, in his later interviews, he doesn't really want to talk about it. I mean, I saw that Larry King interview, and he was trying to talk about the first murder, the first kill that he had, which I'm very intrigued about. But he was completely avoiding it. He just kept on saying, "I'm sorry about it. I really regret it. And I'm sorry about the pain that I caused on the families and such," but he refuses to go into what drove him to do that, which is, it's an interesting thing, because we need to. Everybody sort of wants to understand that. Everybody wants to understand what drives somebody to go from, someone coming out of the Army, going in and getting a normal job and doing air duct work, and then going for the post office, and then saying, "No, I'm driven now to murder someone." And it was pretty random. Like, his first kill was not as it was more of a random murder than a like an Ed Kemper type of murder, right, where he was seeking out specific people. So.
Yeah, and it was weird is he would pass people up and then pick these specific ones, and who the hell knows why, but
right.
So we're talking about almost 3 months later, after his first murder takes place, October 23rd, 1976. So an hour and a half or so after that murder, at 2:30 a.m., he fired 5 shots, into a parked car, and he wounds Rosemary Keenan and Carl Denaro. So he doesn't kill either one of them, but Carl undergoes major head surgery. He gets a plate in his head, and he survived. But I guess maybe Rosemary did end up dying. Did she or not?
I believe she ended up becoming a paraplegic because she was hit in the spine.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That sucks. I think I'd rather die, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of people probably would be in the same boat with you there. You don't want to be stuck with a monkey that's trying to kill you, so.
Monkey Shine's coming back. So, just push my ass off the roof at that point.
Wasn't it also that De Niro was mistaken for a woman because he had really long hair?
Yes, he had long hair.
Long blonde hair, yep.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, is that they figured out that pretty quick, that, that's why the whole woman-hating thing came out here. Okay, so he's killed, or he shot 2 different cars full of people late at night with 5 bullets, or 5 shots each time. It's just kind of funny that he chooses 5 shots. I wonder why that is. It's just random, I guess. I don't know how many after that. But so, we go to a month later, November 27th, 1976. He shot Donna DeMasi, who was 16, and Joanne Lamino, who was 18, while pretending that he needed directions. This is, I think, where he stopped and shot them, and then they both survived. But Joanna was actually, Blake, this is the one. Joanna was paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay, then the other one
spine was shattered.
Then the other one died from her wound. Sorry, I just confused the two.
Yeah, I think Donna was the one that held up the textbook, right, and got shot in the face. I think that was her.
No, the one I think that got shot in the face was the one with the
Virginia.
The last name. Yeah.
Virginia Voskerichian. Okay, we'll get there. So he goes quiet for a couple months, and then January 30th, 1977, he shot John Deal and Christine Fruand, 26. Christine died after being shot in the head at the hospital. John survived and ran for help. Now, is John the one that was shot in the eye and lost his eye?
I'm not sure. I think
it is.
Because I think he was actually engaged to Christine, I believe.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Which was all kind of fucked up. think about it. You're out with a chick that you're engaged to be married to, and she ends up getting slugged by a fucking bullet right in front of you. It's years of therapy for that guy, you know?
Yep. Well, it reminds me of Zodiac. Remember what happened? Those two, you know, where they were in the park, one gets stabbed, the other one gets stabbed too, but only the guy survives. Like, he's making sure that most of these chicks die. A couple of the dudes survived, you know? The viciousness is more intended for them, it feels like.
Right. Like he shot, like the Zodiac shot into the car with Darlene, and Mike Mageau lived, but, you know, he suffered injuries and pain, I guess, the rest of his life. I think he's still around, but he got shot like 5 or 6 times, and I don't know. I guess, like you said, he focuses on the women, and if you're a guy and happen to be, oh, well, you know, I'll just shoot you too, and if you live, okay, and if you die, that's cool too. You know, whatever.
I mean, this may all be a coincidence. I mean, how are we supposed to know? Because what he said, he's like, oh, I didn't hate these people. It's like, who the hell can believe anything he's saying at that point? But anyway,
I think that the what was it, Volante or something like that was shot in the eye, and I think that the deal actually ran away and got away. I don't think he was hurt. Okay.
Yeah, he just got shot. I guess he wasn't too bad off. But yeah, Christine died at the hospital. Okay,
right.
So this is going to be the first one that's actually not at the end of the month, because most of these killings were, towards the end of the month until March 8th, 1977. I'm just looking for parallels, but he shot Virginia Voskerichian in the face as she returned home from classes at Barnard College. She was killed instantly. This is the textbook one, that she put up the textbook, gets killed anyway, obviously. But, I mean, what else are you going to do? Somebody pulls a gun on you, and not much you can do. 2 days later, this is actually when the police released information concerning the use of the .44 caliber gun being used in all the killings, and then they linked the murders of Donna Loria and Virginia Voskerichian together. Now, let me just bring this up because we haven't really done it yet. Before he was Son of Sam, he was known as the .44 caliber killer. So if anybody ever hears that, that's Son of Sam. It's the same one.
Yeah.
So a couple of nicknames for him. Some have some.
In the movie, I think in Summer of Sam, that one of the characters was just saying that it was Reggie Jackson. They were saying that thought that because his jersey was 44.
Yep, there you go. You called it. So Sam Carr Sam Carr's that neighbor. He receives an anonymous letter complaining about his Labrador retriever, Harvey, who we talked about earlier. The letter signed A Citizen. This is when, around this time in April of 1977, he gets hired at the post office. I guess I would say it's the last straw, but he was already killing people before that. So April 17th, 1977, a week after, the same month he gets hired at the post office, Valentina Serrani, who was 18, died instantly, and Alexander Esov died at the hospital, who was 20. Apparently they were shot. He left a note for the police stating, "Come and get me, Son of Sam." And this is around the time where Berkowitz gets the traffic summons for driving a car with no insurance. But this isn't the thing that does him in. It's so strange how some of these guys get caught, but we'll get there. 2 days later, this is where they start Operation Omega, which is a task force assembled under the leadership of Timmy Dowd, and they had 75 detectives and 225 uniformed officers looking for this guy. I haven't seen anything like that since, the Boston bombers. You guys think of anything else like that? I mean, it's all terrorism-based now. What world we live in? We don't get any good serial killers anymore. We just get terrorists.
Well,
yeah.
We still do get some serial killers. But,
yeah, they're not as good though. They're not as publicized.
I mean, that way. You're right. I mean, that terrorized New York during that time.
Yeah.
It was, it was really like a mass media type of thing. It gripped the nation, but that city was completely gripped by it. So by that definition, sure. But I mean, they just caught a serial killer, a female nurse serial killer in Canada that killed a number of people recently, and she's pretty vocal about her thing. So
look at you tracking them. Good job.
Well, you know,
I
I still
appreciate
think
that.
we need to do a show, Travis, on Bassrum. I know we don't tend to do like all over the world killers, but I think he's worth it.